Okay, after last night's live show, I mentioned during the stream that I was planning on doing some more stuff that was, related to other projects I work on. I literally, it must have been maybe, I'd say 10 minutes. I literally went to sleep right after. Like, I, I don't even think there was a half hour between when I laid my head down and when I just passed out. It was really crazy. I'm amazed sometimes by how tired I can be when I don't intend on doing that because I really do prefer to just like be up at night continuously getting stuff. I don't want to say done, but sort of furthering it. Like when you write out a script, you do other parts of components of things. Just that's the kind of stuff I prefer. But I was interested in hearing because I don't talk too much that often about criminal justice. And just sort of how people believe the system to be screwed up and ways they think it can be better. And I distinctively remember that I had actually said the First Step Act, which was passed back in December, this milk toast bill, because my own idea is uh, get everyone out of there that has committed a non-violent crime. Um, so if you got arrested or you got imprisoned for anything having to do with three strikes and all of those offenses were, non-violent, like jaywalking or smoking a joint or something. Just that it's stupid to me to have them incarcerated. But you know, this position of mine, it seems that I'll have a lot of politicians who will say that they're supporting of it or they otherwise back this perspective. But then you look at their own records and they're not exactly, like introducing anything to make that happen. And one of the reasons I really kind of was sort of on the fence about that bill, that First Step Act, is because it's kind of like the Obamacare of criminal justice reform, where it's like you want to get something that's really, really good, right? Like the end of the drug war and getting people out who have committed nonviolent crimes, but they won't give that to you. Instead, they give you this thing that, you admit makes the situation better, but it still doesn't go as far enough. And then the people who did it pat themselves in the back. We're champions of reforming the system and making it better. And it's like the point of it. I would think the point of its name was to imply that you would go further down the line, do other things that then led to the this law that you wanted passed or to something that was of a higher consequence. And I'm not seeing it. It's been what, 7 months and we still don't have anything else. It's really pathetic, and it's unfortunate that we actually have a lot of people who are still convinced that bill, was some kind of like huge accomplishment. But it's the same thing with the ACA, where I kept trying to explain that people who back that, especially if they're in office, are trying to trick you into thinking that they've done something of some like historic magnitude when it's a very basic measure of change that does not address gaping issues having to do with contemporary problems that are occurring in regards to this field of dilemma. There's actually a video circulating around. I believe it's been on the maybe on YouTube, a little bit on TV too, and they mentioned that the U.S. has a third of so of all the incarcerated women in the world, a third of them are here, and I think it's like 80% or 79, like four fifths that are in there for nonviolent offenses. And it was really funny because when I was watching that, I was thinking to myself, I bet we have more men in prison than females, but do you see anyone getting on TV talking about, they need to get them out and we need to hurry up because they're children? No, nothing, just nothing at all. And like, and here's the thing that gets me, right? Because I'm a person who is apolitical, meaning that I'll support an issue but not a party, and I'll support a candidate that backs the issue, but not necessarily their party, right? So I'll give someone like Rand Paul, who's a Republican, credit for saying I support ending the drug war, whereas I'll lead you to what I'm talking about. So a lot of progressives like myself don't like Harris, the California senator, because she was a prosecutor and just was an officer and enforced a lot of the same policies that people believe led to incarcerations of minorities. And the same liberals, right? The same ones who are going around calling the Republicans bigoted and saying that, they'll be the first people who will tell you. So bear with me. These same people, if you told them about, let's say, um, in defense of, I don't know, just like if you mentioned that, blacks kill each other or Hispanics or whichever ethnic group is likely to murder itself more than, officers, for example, right? These are the same people, and listen to this logic. These are the same people who would tell you it's because the fathers have been locked up, put behind bars, but then they support candidates who, prior to them taking office as a senator or congressman, were directly responsible for that. Like, do you get the conundrum? I don't know who that is that's there, but do you understand what I'm saying? That you can't tell me that you support, changing this system, and then you want to back a candidate who is the literal embodiment of that system. It's like I have my problems with Booker because I just think he is fake. But at the very least, he wasn't an officer. He's not like going around after a career as an attorney and being like, "Yeah, man, I'm in favor of the common man, and we have to change the laws." And then you pull up an article on him from 10 years ago, and he's celebrating that somebody got locked up for smoking a joint. And that's the kind of stuff that Harris has, and that's why it baffles me that, like, I really think this if this primary does anything good, it shows that a lot of Democratic voters just do not care about changing the criminal justice system at all because they're supporting people who were directly responsible for what happened. It's amusing to me. Like, you guys want me to believe you're so concerned about this issue, but then the people you back are at the center of it. It's really crazy. Look, let's read this first step back, and then we'll go into further of why it sucks. Okay, it allows for employees to store their firearms securely at federal prisons, restricts the use of restraints on pregnant women, expands compassionate release for terminally ill patients, places prisoners closer to families in some cases, authorizes new markets for federal prison industries, mandates de escalation training for correctional officers and employees, and improves feminine hygiene in prison. So let's reiterate, none of those provisions are bad. This is how they get you. They always put out something that if you try to push back against, they can frame you as the villain of, right? So if I were to vote against this as a senator, just in hypothetical, and I would say, this doesn't go far. We need to do this, that, and the other. You would have both parties coming together saying he doesn't want to give feminine hygiene and improvement in prison, and just they would mention different provisions of this bill and try to beat you over the head with it when you're actually content with the provisions there. You just want more stuff in it because you don't understand why you have to pass 8 or 9 bills to get something you could have gotten in one. So that's my point, that they're goofy like that, and they're able to really trick people into thinking that they're concerned or that this bothers them, which is very disturbing. But like I said, a lot of it has to do with the fact that most of these people don't pay that much attention to any of these topics, so they just kind of get away with not really, like having to address stuff. Oh, sorry, somebody wrote something to me. I was looking at it. How these can't hear about their. This person completely messed up what I was trying to say to them on Twitter, but it is what it is. Okay, let's go over to the. I know this isn't as exciting as last night, but whatever. Like I said, at certain points, I try to interested in other stuff. And I'm kind of forced to kind of sit here and wait because the point of this was that I wanted to have it be interactive between myself and the chat. So I'm waiting to see if either of the people that's here will write and express what their position on supposedly if you believe it even should be fixed the on this system. Like I said, I'm considered completely radical on this, and we'd have a lot less people in there if that were if I were able to do that. I don't see any reason. And it's so funny. I actually had a person who complained about the fact that California legalized marijuana, um, and this is what pisses me off. When it's not legalized, they complain that there's the money that is going into people buying it is in the private economy, and it's people are going to prison over it. But then when they legalize it, and no one's going to prison over it, or at least it's something that you whatever. Now you still are complaining. You're complaining now that it's been legalized. Like basically, when it was illegal, you had an issue, and it's illegal, you have an issue. People are so finicky, and they don't even make any sense. It's like that woman that called herself a Sanders supporter, but then she was saying she opposed single payer. And this is what's funny. She can't even remember what single payer is. So I have to keep saying Medicare for all for her to know what I'm talking about. It's like stuff like that. It's just bonkers, man. How you doing, Mark? I hope you enjoyed last night's stream. Uh, yeah, well, that's because I told you I take the pieces of it and put it up during the week. That's the whole point of the Saturday live show. That's why that's a mandated thing. I was actually kind of tired during that. Like I think about maybe 15 minutes in, I was like, but I still did it anyway because that's a thing I intend to do. But yeah, Mark is about to dip out. He was really bored. He doesn't like that we're not discussing goofy, strange people at this point. We do have some goofy, strange laws. I'll admit to that. And we do have some really weird choices and like the stuff people support and back. Told you, get any of these liberal commentators on CNN or networks, and they'll be the first ones to tell you how screwed up the system is, but then they'll vote for people that are part of it. Oh my god. Let me see if I can find Kyle's video on this, but and I want to make sure that I'm not misstating anything having to do with Congress and reforming this stuff. So let me see if they've had any new proposals since then. Check this out. Also, I don't believe Trump has been to jail yet, and what I mean by that, before anybody thinks I'm talking about putting him behind bars, is that Obama was the first president to go to a federal correctional facility. I don't think Trump has done that yet. Not saying he has to. I don't think he's gone to one at this point. Mm. Oh, this came out yesterday. It's in the Boston Globe. Justice Department officials announced Friday that not yesterday. This is Friday, but whatever. Announced that 3,100 inmates are being released from federal prisons nationwide because of a change in how their good behavior time is calculated. A significant step, they said, in the implementation of a new criminal justice reform law. The announcement came at a news conference to discuss the Trump administration's progress on putting into place the First Step Act. So they're just now getting around it. They passed this back in December. It got signed into law back in December as well, and it's just now getting implemented. You know what? I'm not even surprised because let's see, we don't have a labor secretary, we don't have a homeland security secretary, we don't have a defense secretary, we don't have a UN ambassador. What other office are we missing? There's another one I think that's we don't have, but I'm not shocked if we can have all those different cabinet positions missing. It shouldn't be a surprise that we have laws that take a half a year or longer to get implemented. That's I feel so ashamed for even being surprised by that. Stupid me. Uh oh, let's look at Vox. They have an article on this bill that Booker had. Okay, it says a new aggressive criminal justice reform proposal over the weekend that would make it easier for people, particularly those older than 50, to get an early release from federal prison. I'm going to read the rest of that, but that already sounds stupid. Why do you have to wait until you're over 50 to get an easy release? What is so special about 50 when you hit that milestone of half a hundred? Now we're going to treat you like more of a person. Is it safe to say most people in office are clowns in suits? Um, Pretty much. Like it seems as if what they have is a niche where they'll take this one issue and they'll be really, really good or decent on it, and then after that, it's just like straight trash, like everything else. So just like how you have a lot of senators that are from rural states, like from Kansas, and they were pissed off about this trade war because they have farmers that are their constituents and they have to, bear the brunt of the punishment. Just places like Kansas and Iowa, right? So they get pissed off. They tell Trump, "Hey, you better cut this out." And that's when they actually take a stand because there's too much for them to lose if they don't. So stuff like, and then Booker again, not my favorite, but he at least regularly tries to do stuff relating to the criminal justice system, uh, even if I think it's a bunch of crap. Because, like I said, all of this stuff can be done in one bill. That's why they have landmark laws. It's just I really hate the fact that we have to sit here and wait year after year for people to do stuff that should have been done a long time ago. Okay, let me read the rest of this. Okay, the Matthew Charles and William Underwood Second Look Act, first reported by whatever this woman's name is from for NBC News, would let people who have served more than 10 years in prison petition a court for early release. But again, why? So I understand why 10 years? Why not two or one? Why not 10 days? Again, I'm not saying any of this stuff to be funny, but it's kind of like when uh, I was making a joke to this person that we have single payer in the U.S. It's called Medicare. You just have to wait until you've lived 6 decades to get it. And then you had Sherrod Brown introducing a proposal to get it lowered to 55, and then you had Jimmy saying, what's so special about being 55? If I'm 54, why can't I have good health? So stuff like just when they pick these random numbers, it feels weird. Hey, Mark, we'll get you a wife. You just have to wait. You just have to wait 9 years. And then Mark says, "Why can't I wait 8 years?" And then we don't have any answer to give you. Mm. Jesus, I cannot believe people are actually interested in this. LOL until I'm 34. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. People pull these numbers out of their behinds. Yeah. No, that's what like that's my point that in that stream when that chick told me wait 5, 10, 15 years, I was like, if this comes at 35, why can't it come at 34? If it comes at uh you know, you get the point. If it comes at 25, why can't it come at 24? Like just it's weird, man. People are they pick this stuff out of their behinds. I don't know who told them this was a good idea. Oh, I told you that I used to when I would talk back when I still was interested in like talking to people about politics, like on these forums and different places. I used to catch hell because I made it kind of known that I like the older Bush, and they're like, he had the war on drugs. Like, okay, well, by that definition, I guess basically if enough people do it, and I just see it kind of as a continuation of something that was stupid, it's not going to overrule the rest of it. It's like, you know, I don't agree with any of the immigration crap that Trump does, but if he signed into law single payer and ended all the wars and went after the banks, I would just let that one slide. It would be kind of like FDR's internment camps. It's like, yeah, it's crappy that one particular thing, but the rest of it I'm quite all right with. Again, in that hypothetical of if Trump would have done that, which is not the case. But my point is that certain things have to get this. Mark says, I guess older people have a higher risk of diseases. That's why the age is set to 50. Well, again, here's my thing, Mark. With a lot of these diseases, the ones that people are saying that high risk and all that, theoretically, you could get them at 49, you can get them at 48, 47. So, do you see where saying this particular age kind of feels like forced, oh, you definitely won't, get a heart attack at 45 or in the next, 12,000 days before your next birthday. You know what I'm saying? No, really, like that's my way of looking at it, that if these people are okay with like screwing over us with this crap, why exactly should we get upset by, or rather, why exactly? I'm catching myself. Why should we get mad? Like over this system if these people don't care themselves. And I was saying that a lot of times when people impose certain laws, they're dumb and they're stupid. But if you don't do them, you can avoid. It's kind of like how people were freaking out over the abortion laws that were getting messed with in Alabama and other states. And I said, well, if you don't screw, or if you screw with some rubber, you get Mr. Fantastic to stretch himself across and protect you, you don't have to worry. Okay, Mark says true people can get sick at any age. Really, yeah, we have terminally ill children. We have people who have died from, cancer and all kind of diseases throughout their teens and their 20s and 30s. Like that's why it really pisses me off that people pretend as if, you know, there's some kind of thing of, oh, everybody who's this age is so healthy and vibrant and whatnot. And we have a lot of mental illnesses as well that go unaddressed. Why it just pisses me off. It's too stupid. And it's so disappointing. I was hoping we can get all the characters in here, but it looks like we've got Mark and somebody else that is sitting in silence. They have that. They're doing they're spying. That's their way of operating. This is really crazy. I can't believe people actually. Uh, oh, Mark says mental illness is never taken seriously. Oh, I know. Like that person from last night, the one that's having that thing I told you about. Oh yeah, and with her as well. I told you there's a message where she was talking about screwing six guys and I could replace you at any second, and just. And again, the problem that we have now is that because she got massacred, this really gruesome thing, we're not allowed to look or say anything negative about her behavior while she was alive. So, we're gonna just we're kind of, it's sort of like, what's a good example? It's like if you go to what's that restaurant called where they have was it Hooters, where the waitresses dress all skimpy, and then everybody's supposed to look but you can't touch. It's like when we go online and we find all this stuff out about her, we can we can see the information, but we can't speak on it in a certain way. I just think that's lame. People don't get that a lot of mistakes that are corrected are after somebody else goes through them, or there's some kind of thing that we've seen fail, and then we try to our best to stay away from it. But yeah, Mark, I think I'm ended here because nobody's showing up. I'm so disappointed. But look, I hope you enjoyed it. I've tried to give some information. And this is another one of those areas where it's not really my thing. Like I'm mostly into international issues, um, a little bit of healthcare stuff, and that's kind of it. But I'm trying to expand my horizon. This is kind of like trade as well, where it's that topic that it gets mentioned here and there, but no one ever really goes into it that much. Uh, let's see. And you're right, when you stream about something other than the chick stuff, no one is. I told you that that's how they work. They have a one track mind where you mention these broads, and like a lot of times it's when you're not even like the title's live show, and that's when I can just swap from one topic to another, and they literally just they run up in there to hear that, then they disappear. And that's why I said I can't take this website seriously. Like back when I was first starting out, I thought, oh, maybe if I do this kind of content, it'll get there. But I can't have some timey type people as the ones who are supposed to boost the stuff up. It just can't work. But I'm glad you're not one of those. I appreciate it. I think you should do it more often. It's really enjoyable. Well, again, the problem is during the week like the circumstances I can't always control as I can when I say on Saturday we'll do this at this time, and even that gets screwed up because sometimes it's later than I, want it to be. Where I'll say 6 and it starts at 7. Um, but my point is that during the week there's sometimes other people here. There's all kind of stuff that just goes on that I can't predict because these people are unorthodox. Again, we got it once a week, and I'm going to upload all the pieces during this week as well, so you'll get a refresher course. Even though, like I said, people are mainly interested in that one part. Man, well, I'll stream tomorrow. It will probably be. I'll try to think of something. Maybe the news. I don't know, but definitely one tomorrow, and then the remainder of the week we'll just put out the pieces. Uh, Thanks for the short stream. Well, like I said, I was trying to do one that was around that same kind of length today, but if no one's going to show up, what I can't, stick to my topic. So I'm glad you gave your input. I appreciate it. And if you want the Discord link, I can give it to you. To go in there and speak and interact and whatnot. And people are aggravating. They're pesky. It's like, well, he's not talking about the broads. I don't know what to do. He's not talking about those women. Yeah, I should play that clip of Vader screaming no. Like I should do it like this. I'm like, oh, my stream starts to have people in there. Then you see the number, and then it's like, no. The problem is I don't have a way of doing that because I can't get the part where it's when it's live where it shows the number of people. I'd have to do a screen capture. So I guess Mark doesn't want the link. It's cool. Uh, thank you for watching. If anyone sees on the replay, I appreciate that as well. Like I said, people got swindled into thinking that First Step Act was some big deal, when just like the ACA, it's going to be this thing that people who don't want to go further are going to go, oh, see this, we fixed it, we accomplished something, yeah. So we've already got another foot in the ground.